Welcome, everybody. It is the CrewCast. This is the first episode of the CrewCast. This is a new podcast that I have been wanting to do for ages. Just really haven't got around to it. I don't know. It's just been a weird time in the whole YouTube scheme, and I feel like now is the time to do it. And I got a couple guests with me today. We got Shadow Beats, and we also have Respawnonme, aka Respawn. And so I have these two gentlemen here today, and we want to talk about a few things, and we just want to see where this thing goes. If you like this Skype thing, if you like this type of thing, please leave a like, of course, and then leave any feedback that you can. I'm stumbling over words, but that's okay. It's the first one. I'm nervous. I'm just a little nervous here. But the first topic, gentlemen, we have today is college worth it? Is the money worth it? Is being behind 4 years from the workforce worth it? Is the bills? Is the loans? Is it worth it? So, Shadow, I'll let you start off about college and is it worth it?
I hate this type of answer because it's such like a fence sitter kind of thing, but I think that it depends on the person. But speaking from my experience, I don't think it's as worth it as it might have been in the past. Like, you know, with our parents, like the ones saying like, "Oh, you got to go to college right out of high school. You got to get a degree." And like I know me, like when I was getting out of high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And like I went to college, I got like student loans. I not like, thankfully, because I only went for like maybe like a year or two.
Right.
Like I'm not up in my ass in student loan debt or anything like that. But like I went to college. I went there. I'm just like I have no idea why I'm doing this. I don't know what I'm like. Why am I here? And so the motivation went down, and I'm not a very motivated person to begin with. So like I think for me, no, it's not worth it. Like if you have a career that requires a degree, like if you really want to be a doctor or something, or if you really want to be like a lawyer, or I think teachers like have to go to college or something, then yes, it would be worth it for you. But there's also nothing wrong with being like having a career as a mechanic or something like that. And that's trade school. You don't have to go to college to be a mechanic.
Right.
But I mean, even then, like you said about like the bills and the money and everything like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know people who are in their 60s and they're still paying off like student loan debt. Granted, they didn't make very good life decisions, but still, it's yeah.
For me, it's kind of the same thing, Shadow. It depends on what you're going after. For me, growing up, it was always ingrained in my head, you have to go to college. There's no other option. You go to kindergarten, you go and graduate high school, and then you go to college. That was always like not an option, it seemed like, for me. So I did go to college. I finished. I had a shit ton of student loan, and thank God for YouTube that I was able to pay off my loans. But if I didn't have YouTube, then I would be still paying on my loans for another 30 years. And was it worth it? Not really. It was, I don't know. It's just, I was one of those people when I got to college, I didn't want to drop a class. I was so afraid to drop a class. I was so afraid to flunk a class because I knew how much money it cost. Like, that was always ingrained in me too. I came from a middle-class family, and when coming into a middle-class family, we always like were not necessarily penny pinching, but we always looked at everything like, how much does that cost? And I knew how much time it took to get that money. Waiting tables when I was in college was like, you could make like $100 a day, and I knew a class cost like $500. And so that was like 5 days of me working. You add those up in a semester, that's like a whole month of me working straight just for college alone, not me paying rent, not me paying for books, not me doing anything else. That was just the class itself. And so for me, It was stressful. It was just very stressful, and I don't know if it was worth it at the end of the day. The college degree that you get depends a lot, because if you get, I'm being honest, and I don't want to break anybody's heart, but if you get an art degree or a music degree, you better do something where you know you're going to make some money, because most of the people that I know, and I had about 5 or 6 that graduated with me from high school that went into these departments, they are working as managers at restaurants, they work at cell phone places, as managers, things like that, where they're not using their degree, and it really just, it's just not going to pay off for you. I don't know if money is the reason why you went to college, to make more money after you get out, because that always seemed to be the thing. But for me, I don't think it's worth it either. And nowadays, there are so many ways with the lotteries and different scholarships that you can get that can help you out. And I just wasn't educated enough to get some of those in my state. I don't know how hard it was for you, Shadow, if you had, was it easy for you to get scholarships or whatnot, but I tried and I just couldn't get some. My grade point average was okay. I played sports throughout high school. I really didn't take my grades like that serious, and I made a decent grade on the SAT and ACT. It just, I don't know. It was just a tough time all the way around. What about you, Respawn? What do you think about the whole college deal? What was your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I agree, like what both of you said. I mean, I didn't have the opportunity to go. Well, I shouldn't say that, because everyone has the opportunity. It was a little hard for me. I mean, I grew up probably similar to a lot of people, obviously, in the United States with, divorced parents or whatnot. So single mom raised us. So by the time, I'm in high school and getting out, I was pretty much kind of contributing to the household. So I didn't really, it wasn't really easy for me to just transition from high school to go into college. But I think I agree. I mean, I think if you have, like what Shadow was saying, I mean, if you have your mindset or your heart set on a specific field that you want to go into that requires like that higher level education, not necessarily just the certificate, but the education, like, a lawyer, going to law, something like that, then I think it's definitely worth it. But kind of like what you were saying too, Deluxe, I mean, I have a lot of friends, my wife as well, have art degrees, and I think for the most part, art degrees are kind of like a big scam, especially with a lot of like the Academy of Arts, that every big city kind of has those. They're a lot of money, and I don't really think you get much on a return, because let's be honest, I mean, if you're a successful artist, to sell artwork or do something like that, or even get a job, with a company doing, say, design work, they're not really looking at your what am I trying to say? Your diploma, or not your diploma, your degree. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're looking at your portfolio, so your work's going to speak for itself. Right. And I think that's the same way with a lot of jobs. I mean, if you get into a company, and you kind of work your way up and just get the on-the-job training, a lot of times you don't need to have a degree to apply for a position. If you have, a couple years or just the time kind of spent in that role or learning the role within the company. And I mean, like, I worked for a pretty big multimedia company, and they have like kind of like their own university where you can take courses and get trained, inside the company. And I think that, works just as well. So I don't know. I mean, I'm on the fence, like Shadow was saying, if you know what you want to do, and it's something you want the education, but definitely it's worth it. But I mean, one thing that I say, to anyone that I know that's kind of like in high school or whatever, like my cousins or just whoever, is don't be afraid after high school to maybe take 6 months to a year and just take a step back from the school, right, and try to find what you want to do in life, because that's another thing. I mean, you could put a lot of money into school and then all of a sudden changing your degree, and it's sometimes it could be a waste of time and money, because you just you fall out of love with what you wanted to do.
You have a great point there, Respawn. When I went into college, I had no idea what I wanted to do, and they always say, "Oh, you got plenty of time." I even heard this from like counselors. I heard this from teachers. I heard this from other peers that you don't have to pick until your beginning of your junior year. That's the only that's when you have to pick. You're going to take all your basics. If you go to college now, I'll give you this. you better know what you want to do. You better not spend any time going anywhere else, because your 4-year degree is going to turn into a 5-year degree and then a 6-year degree. And like Shadow was saying, that student loan, it will kick your butt on down the line, because they go up, and then the percentage of how long you're taking out that loan, it goes up, and you're in debt so far you can't see. And you don't understand how much stuff is in college, because they just keep tacking on these little bitty it's just every little thing, like for a registration fee, and it's just one thing after another, and it just adds up. Yeah, it's so much stuff, and you just don't realize. And then it's almost like you can't have a full-time job. Like I said, I waited tables, and I was a bartender as well during the time I was in college, and it was nonstop. I woke up, went to class, got off from school, went in, waited tables, got off, went home, woke up, did the same thing. I mean, it was always a cycle. I didn't get any sleep. I didn't get any free time. It was always a grind for me, always. So, yeah, I agree. It's a mess. People better have kind of their stuff together. And then that kind of transitioned us into what kind of life did you have in high school? What kind of feelings do you have about high school now? What are some of the things that you remember about high school? Just give me some of your high school background a little bit.
Do you want to start? Or go ahead.
I will start. No. It's my high school experience was actually really boring. I was like, high school for me was I just went to high school and went home, and I regret how I wasn't very involved with anything. Like if I could, like, obviously if you could go back and change things, like I wasn't involved in any clubs or anything. I wasn't involved in any sports or anything like that. I went to high school and then just went home, kind of because I felt like I have to. I also got really lucky because like I was able to retain like information very well. So like I never really had to study hard or anything like that. The hardest work that I put in high school was figuring out like taking like the formula for like how our grades were weighted and everything like that, and said, okay, like there's this project that I need to do. If I don't do this project, will I still be able to get a C in the class? And if I was able to get a C, because I mean, I would get like 90s on tests and shit. Like I was very good test taker because, like I said, I could just retain information without doing any homework or anything like that. And if I was able to pass, then I wouldn't do the project. Not something that I would recommend for everybody.
I can see you doing that,
but yeah, like I don't know, like everyone's talking about like, oh yeah, like I had a whole lot of friends, or like, oh I wasn't very popular in high school, I got picked on. Like I have no stories like that, really. It's just
plain and simple.
My high school experience was just go there, chill. Like I talked with people if they talked to me, but like I never really made much of an effort to make friends. I'm just like, hey, yeah, it's whatever. I'm here. We're all here.
Were you involved in like any clubs or anything like that?
I do miss it though. No, I didn't get involved. I do regret not joining. I do regret not trying out for the basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like I could have made it. Because one, we were in just like a shitty division for basketball.
Right.
And so like, it wasn't like we were like cream of the crop, like breeding NBA superstars or anything like that.
Right.
But in high school, like I had not to talk myself up, but I was a fucking sharpshooter.
You're the Larry Bird of your school, huh?
I could hit the three, just like, I'm white. I can't dribble, I can't jump, I can't drive, but I'll just park my ass at the 3-point line, pass it to me when I'm open, and I'll hit the shot.
Why does he have to be Larry Bird? Why couldn't it be Curry?
Okay, my bad.
Yeah,
sorry,
wow, man.
Wow.
Sorry, man.
Wow.
Sorry.
Making it racist.
But where'd you get your
Shadow
musical?
Likes wearing the high shorts. Maybe
he might do that.
I wear underwear. The music thing.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
That didn't start until after I graduated.
I had no
high
clue.
School. And I had always had an interest in making music, but I didn't realize it until I was like 20. But like anytime I'd go to somebody's house, and if they had like if they were rich and they had a piano, or if they had a guitar, or just any type of musical instrument, at some point I would just gravitate over to it, and I'd love playing on the instrument. Didn't really know how to play it, but just like making tunes with just whatever. Even if it was just like, even if they had like a a toddler or something and had like a little toy piano or something like that, I'd go over and I just
Right. So you're self-taught?
Music. Yeah.
What about I've heard you play piano, and I thought you were pretty good. Now, granted, it was your own song, but
I took piano lessons for a year, but that was last year.
You can only do so much in a year though too.
But yeah, prior to that, I just tinkering myself.
That's pretty cool. I never knew that about you, Shadow. Good stuff.
Hey,
good piano stuff, man.
Piano,
I like it.
What about you, Respawn? What was your high school career like? Because I want to hear this.
I mean, growing up, so I have two older sisters that my oldest sister was kind of like the rebel,
right?
So she pretty much blew the doors off of everything. But my other sister, who's a little older than me but younger, obviously than my oldest, she was like 4.0, 4 point whatever, like straight A student. So by the time I got into high school, I mean, I guess I had a little bit of pressure, but not too much, because I'm like, well, I mean, I'm probably not going to do as good as this sister, and I'm probably not going to fuck up as bad as this other sister, so I'll just kind of like take the middle lane. But for high school, for me, I mean, like what Shadow was saying, I mean, through middle school or whatever, I think I was a pretty bright kid, and I picked up on stuff pretty easy, so I never really had study habits. High school was a little tougher though, because I actually had to start paying attention, because you start getting into like CP classes or like whatever stuff that's a little bit harder and requires you to actually pay attention, which I had zero attention span. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like slipped a little bit, but I really started getting into like I got out of sports. I was in sports all through junior high, and like first part of high school I was in football and basketball, but started kind of drifting away from that. Just I didn't see myself really excelling in it, so it's kind of like, why waste the time and like go through all the, you know, the stress and the pressure. But I like skateboarded my whole life, so I was really into that more. So we ended up getting, like, my cousin and I were skating for a skate shop, like a team here, so we were kind of like, you know, made it kind of, well, for us it was big time, you know, getting like free stuff.
Oh, I bet, dude. Once you get that, even if it's shoelaces, man,
like, I'm sponsored. Yeah, I'm a sponsored skater.
Yeah, right.
So like skating was my life, and high school was just kind of like, you know, I had to go, you know. I didn't really hang out with a lot of people from high school. We had like our little skate clique, but the majority of people were just everyone in our skate shop. So a lot of those kids were, you know, out of high school, or like, you know, in their late teens like us, but, you know, somewhere in their early 20s or whatever. So that was kind of like my life. And high school was just, I have to go do this during the day, and then I go skate at night. So I didn't really fall into what I think a lot of kids do in high school is everything. You know, you go to school, and if this group of people don't like you, then, you know, it's the end of the world, and you don't really see anything outside of that high school bubble. So you get depressed or whatever, you know, or maybe you're on the flip side. You're the popular kid, and you're like, oh, I'm the king of the world. But then, you know, for both sides of that spectrum, once high school is over, your world just kind of collapses, because you're like, what do I do now? I'm not the popular kid, you know.
Right.
I'm like everybody else in my job at Home Depot or whatever.
Yeah,
you know
no
what
one
I mean?
gives
like,
a shit what you did in high school.
No one gives a shit if I threw 4 touchdowns in that you know, homecoming game or whatever. Or, hey, you know, everyone's like me. You know, no one at my job here is picking on me. Whatever. Like, I don't know. I didn't really have that hard of a time like getting out of high school, or, you know, after high school, which I'm thankful for, because I see a lot of kids going through that pressure. Just, you know, oh, this kid, you know, whatever said this to me, or this girl broke my heart or whatever, and it's just like a travesty. And it's like, man, life is like high school, the amount of time you're in high school is so small compared to like once you graduate, and just like life after that. So yeah, just skating, man. That was my life.
I hear you. Well, for me, it was
you were
kind
the class slut.
It was kind of the opposite.
Right.
I'll tell you a little bit about when I was younger. When I was up from kindergarten to third grade, my parents were middle class. They spent all the money they could to put me in a private school. Well, the private school was a very small private school, and we probably had 10 kids per class, like kindergarten, 10 kids, first grade, 10 kids, whatever. And going through it, the teachers really weren't that qualified, and we just kind of didn't do a lot, to be honest. Like, we didn't learn a lot. And so we moved when I was in fourth grade. We didn't move very far. I could have still went to private school. My parents pulled me out and kind of felt like I was falling behind a little bit. Went to fourth grade, and I went to public school, and it just hit me in the face like I was behind. I was really behind. And so I had a tough time with school from the fourth grade. Fifth grade was a lot easier. I had one of the best teachers I ever had. Sixth grade, I was caught up by then. Reading level was above average by then. Everything was good.
Average for the South?
Okay, okay, we get it.
Sorry, I had to.
You would, you bastard. All right, but the sixth grade, I caught up. I started getting involved in a lot of sports. I started having, rivals and stuff like that. And in my school, we were like one of the biggest schools in my state. And when we went to seventh grade, we merged with another middle school that was the next city over for our high school. It's kind of like an east and the west type thing. And when we merged, we came in with a lot of new people. So if you were cool in sixth grade, nobody gave a shit because it was a brand new start. It was that many more people on the other side that came in, y'all made a junior high. So it was all new people, getting to know all new friends. There's a lot of new girls too, and that was cool. But you kind of you either stuck with the people you knew or you tried to make new friends. And I kind of got stuck in that in between stage. I wasn't the most popular kid, but I was like, I would say a tier below that. Like all the guys that I were friends with, we all started for the basketball team, the baseball team, the football team, and stuff like that. We were better athletes than the other kids, but it seemed like the other kids were the popular ones, the ones that had all the money. We were the city kids, and they were kind of the country kids. It's kind of opposite of what you would think. And so seventh grade was a mess just because of all that, getting all that ironed out. Eighth grade, I started to shine a little bit, but in high school or in junior high and high school, I was the kid that was cool with everybody. I talked to everybody that I could. I didn't ever exclude people. When I sat down at a lunch table, I didn't sit with just my friends. I sat with anybody that I could. I just found a spot, talked to people, and on a daily basis, I would just kind of rotate. I didn't really see anybody as far as a class goes because I was kind of cool with everybody. I've always done that. My parents kind of raised me that way. It didn't matter, color, race, gender, whatever. I was going to, just be cool with everybody. Because to be honest, I didn't want that person to come into school one day with a gun and, start picking off people and be like, you're cool, you're an idiot, shoot you, and then kind of thing. It wasn't in the back of my head, but it was like to be cool with everybody because you never know who's going to be your boss one day, who's never going to be that kid that helps you out at the end of the day. So, anyways, ninth grade. Went through, it was great. 10th grade, had a great experience. 11th grade was really tough for me at trying to get all my grades together. I was, I was doing 3 different sports at the time, and I just didn't care about my grades. It's not that they were hard. It was kind of like shadow. I got it, but I didn't want to do the extra stuff. I didn't necessarily want to get a C. I tried to get the B's. I was that kid that tried to get the B's instead of the try hard A's. But I just did enough to get by. I don't remember reading a full book until I was in 12th grade. I don't remember doing actual...
What book was it? I gotta know.
What book did we read? It was English. It might have been West Side Story, something like that. I don't even remember exactly what it was. We read 2 or 3 that year, but I don't remember exactly what they were. But I'm pretty sure it was West Side Story, something like that. But anyways, going through high school, my junior year, it kind of hit me in the face. Hey, you got to start preparing yourself for after high school because who cares? And then after I graduated, we just, you take that 3 months off and then you're going to college. I remember going to college, and it was like high school 2.0 a little bit. Like, I would say 20 people from my high school that I knew pretty closely ended up going to the same college as me, even though that college was like 3 or 4 hours away. Mm-hmm. And I just remember seeing them drop out one at a time. They were one semester like, hey, where's so-and-so? Oh, they quit. They got out, blah, blah, blah. But it was weird because all the people that really struggled in high school, that couldn't find a lot of friends, that were either assholes or just people that just kind of got pushed down by the popular kids, they all end up being in fraternities or sororities for whatever reason. I'm not saying that was everybody. For my high school, that's the way it was. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about fraternities and sororities. Sometimes people say they're all about, you have to pay for your friends, all that stuff. I never was part of a fraternity or a sorority, Shadow, because I know you're going to bring it up. But I don't know how I feel about that whole thing, too, because that forces people to be friends with other people. Not really friends, but associates or part of the same thing. I don't know. It's a weird dynamic altogether for college. I don't know if y'all have ever been around that type of crowd, but it's just a weird dynamic all around. But I really liked high school. I thought it was a good experience for me. No one really prepared me for the real world in high school. Everybody sugarcoated everything. I would say even my parents. My dad probably was the one that kind of said, hey, this is how the real world is. You need to get your crap together. And then probably when I got out to the real world after college, a little bit, but YouTube was already in effect then. So it wasn't that hard for me to transition to, a real job. Like, I had the real jobs when I was in college, so I didn't really have to I know what that was like, but I didn't have to really deal with it after college. So it's kind of a weird transition for me because it's just a weird thing altogether. But I think if I ever stopped doing this YouTube thing, then it would be an easier transition because I had to work 50, 60 hours a week doing waiting tables and stuff like that. I know, Shadow, you worked at a hoagie stand. Is that right?
Close enough.
Close enough. So you've worked hard labor too? You've done that?
I wouldn't consider a restaurant hard labor.
I would. I think
depends
being
on
your
customers, though.
I agree. It was. Shit. I had some dick heads.
I mean, hard labor. That's something that, like, you
wait their hands, something like that. But I'm saying this is.
Hard.
I think everybody should have to wait tables at least once in their life. That should be a requarement to be a citizen.
Waited tables. What the fuck?
Well, how about this? Food, like being food service. How about that?
I mean, or retail, or just something.
Or retail, something with
customer
people.
service.
Yeah,
related.
customer service.
I will say this. I learned more about being a person, and like my first job molded me into the person that I am today more than 12, 13, 14 years of school ever fucking did. Like,
what was it? What was the subject? Like, what'd you do?
What do you mean?
What was your job?
I made food.
Oh, okay, that's what I was getting at. Where was it?
That was my first job.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
I mean, it could be retail. Like, I don't really think it matters what the job is as long as you're dealing with people. Because, I mean, the thing that, like, in high school, everything's just kind of laid out for you. In middle school, high school, you get into this kind of like routine mindset, and you're afraid to think outside the box or see, like, you think the whole world and life is just like a one-track kind of thing, and you don't really learn how to adapt to any situation or anything like that. And you also, I mean, if you're anything like me, like, you also just kind of feel like everybody, mainly adults, just have everything just sort of figured out, and they're kind of like superior beings to you in some aspect. But like, my first job showed me, if nothing else, like, nobody fucking knows what they're doing. Like, everybody, be it, customer, person you work with, like, everybody's nervous about something, like everybody panics. And just basically the job told me, or taught me, that, you know, life, there's really nothing worth stressing about, like, at all.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you're gonna, this really kind of like a weird off-topic kind of thing, but, you know, I see so many people just, like, talking about, you know, how stressed they are, and, oh, I got so much to do, and, like, yeah, that's probably valid, but whether you stress about it or not, you know, that's not going to change, like, what you have to do, you know what I mean? And so you can either just do it, or you can sit there and just put so much thought into, like, oh my god, this is so difficult for me, and yada yada yada. Just take it easy. And I'm saying this as somebody who's not a kush smoker. Like, I'm not high. Just there's nothing worth stressing over. Like,
I think, like what you were saying too, when you're in high school, you're, you know, or just when you're in school period, you're around like 99% minus the teachers of everyone that's they're in the same boat as you, and they're the same age. And like after you graduate and you get into like your first full-time job, that's not like, hey, I'm working at the mall like with a bunch of other high school kids, whatever. You're like working in a job. Like for me, like my first job out of high school was like flood and fire restoration, like, and construction. So it's like what all my dad and uncles did, is just construction. Is you're around people that are quite a bit older than you, and maybe in the same position as far as like financially, you know, they're struggling, or, you know, like you're saying, everyone's got problems, but you start seeing adults, you know, as not, you know, you're around perfect. Your parents. Yeah, exactly. Like you were saying, just perfect. You're like, oh man, I'm working with this guy, and he's, you know, he's like 49 and he's swinging a hammer like me, but he's got a freaking drug problem, or he, like, you know, smokes 4 packs a day, and he drinks on the job or whatever, you know, and you start seeing stuff that you don't really see when you're like in school or just around kids.
Yeah, and it makes it okay.
Yeah, you're like, well, you know,
that's
I'm not going to be like him if I, you know, miss one day at work. You know, I'm not going to be like this guy, or I don't know, maybe that guy's happy, whatever. Like he's having a good life. To him, it's a happy life.
Yeah, I think a lot of the pressure that comes from high school is like it'll hit you like your senior year. Like, wait a minute, like I'm about to graduate high school, and like, this is when I'm supposed to be moving out, but I don't know how to pay taxes. Like, what's a credit card? Like, I mean, I have this thing, but I don't understand, like, interest rates and bank account. Like, what is all this stuff? Because they don't teach you that shit in school. They teach you the quadratic formula, right. Which, I mean, I love math, and I don't want them to take math away. But like,
how many times have you used it?
They don't teach. I've used it twice to impress girls with my ability.
And you didn't get laid either one.
No.
Right. He's like, shit. That's cool. I'm going to go back over here with my friends. Thanks for the free drink.
But yeah, right? No, yeah, it's like, yeah, just get out in the real world and see, like, because the world that they paint in high school is not reality.
You know what high school is? Shadow, I just realized this. High school is a tutorial. There's a track, and you have to go down it. There's no other option. You have to go down it, and there's a lot of people that do the same thing that you're going to do, behind you and in front of you. And then when you get in GTA 5 free roam, shit hits the fan.
Right.
People are doing all kinds of shit.
All right? Leave it to a gamer.
I'm just telling you. It's perfect.
It's good. It's a good metaphor.
It is. So many things can happen, and a lot of shit. Okay, I'll be honest too. What little bit with what Respawn was saying, people on a job that you deal with from day to day, as dealing in the food service, but not only that, just dealing with a job. Period. You have to work with people that you like, and you have to work with people that you don't like. It just happens. You have to learn how to deal with people. Period. And a lot of times, you don't know what that person goes through on a daily basis. You don't know how they got to the same point that you're in, that you're working the same job they are, doing the same thing. And I always found it fascinating to hear people's story. I always found it fascinating. I think that's why I was kind of that social butterfly, as you talk about, Shadow, in high school. I wanted to know people's story all the time. And Respawn and I have talked about this a couple times. I'm a people watcher, and Respawn is a people watcher too. I don't know if you are a people watcher, you know what a people watcher does. They just watch people, but it's fascinating to me. It's like addicting. Go to Walmart and watch people. They're the weirdest fucking people in the world. But it's so awesome to hear a side conversation when you're going by them in the aisle and you hear somebody say something outrageous and you're like, what the hell is going on? I got to know what is going on. So you turn your little buggy around and you kind of follow them a little bit until you kind of figure out what's going on. Then you take off again. But it's things like that are amazing to me, that you just don't know in the world how many different situations are going on at the same time. And people say it's a small world all the time, how you meet people and all that. And it's just a cool thing to think about. As a whole, we're just a bunch of small ants running around in GTA 5 free roam and going on a different path. I don't know. It's just a really cool idea. But I want to talk a little bit about people watching on that subject. Respawn can tell you a little bit about his experience, but I just like take 10 minutes out of your week, this next week. Sit down in a crowded place. Maybe it's a Walmart. Maybe it's a clothes store, a Target. I don't know. But just take 10 minutes and people watch. Just look at the people that are going by. You're going to see freaks. You're going to see people that it looks like they have it all together. And deep down inside, they are just as crazy as you are. There's going to be just a lot of situations going on. And just know that you're not the only one going through a bunch of shit. You're not the only one that has problems. You're not the only one that's having a bad day sometimes. It happens to everyone, and you're just a small piece in this big-ass puzzle. But
and one note, though, is while you're watching all these people and silently judging everyone, making fun of them, whatever. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm the type of person that makes fun of people.
Okay.
Keep in mind that when you're doing this, someone is doing that to you.
Yes, it's me. It's me. Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah.
Hello.
So, everyone's fair game. I might be a weird freak, to somebody else.
Yeah, I've seen you. You're a weird freak.
Wow.
But I just thought people watching is really cool, and I do it all the time. I do it a lot, I'll be honest. I do it a lot when I go on trips places and I'm at the airport, because you have nothing but time there. And that's the best time to people watch, is you can sit down and you can watch people and just you're in close proximity with other people, and it's not a weird thing. And so that's a cool thing. And when you sit on a plane with somebody, I always try to talk to the person beside me to kind of get their story. Where are you going? What are you doing? Kind of thing. Just to be nice, but also to kind of get the story out of them a little bit. But
I hate people like you.
See, you're that guy.
Deluxe the type of dude, when he serves food, he sits down next to you in the booth and be like, "Hey, what are we having today?" You're
no, I'm not. I hate that guy. Booth. I know who you're talking about. That guy that's extra friendly. Okay, yeah. I used to say this all the time in food service. You have to be their friend for 45 minutes, and that's it, to get the best tip that you can get. But at the same time, I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy that wants to sit beside you and act like I am the best friend you've ever had.
Because it's not the 45 minutes. Like, you want them to come back. You want to build maybe like months or years if you end up working there, repeat customers that are like, hey, this guy knows me and he knows that I don't want to be bothered, or this guy knows that I like, when he unbuttons the top button of his shirt a little bit, gives me a little, something. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
You sit next to me on a plane, like, we don't have to talk. I think a lot of people, not everyone, obviously, because I don't think Deluxe would do this for this reason, but I think a lot of people just want to talk and start conversation, because for a lot of people, just sitting there in silence is awkward. Mm-hmm. And again, it's like a kind of a social pressure type of thing, where it's just like, oh man, like I'm sitting next to this person, like, I'm gonna be sitting next to this person like for 2 hours on this airplane while we fly to wherever. Like, man, like, he's probably gonna think it's awkward if I don't say anything, so like I probably should say anything. Meanwhile, there's me. It's just like, just don't fucking say anything for the whole 2 hours. Like, it's fine.
Or they're scared. A lot of people will try to start conversations because they're scared of flying and they just want to distract themselves.
Off,
yeah,
well,
exactly.
then you can talk to the person on the other side of the aisle. Leave me the fuck alone.
You're from the East Coast, though, right? Like that's like that mentality, right?
Get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
I don't people watch. I don't give a rat's ass. As long as you're not like affecting me. Like if I'm in Walmart and these two people are having a conversation about whatever, as long as they're not in my way, like I don't care what they're doing. Like I don't care how they're buying 5 boxes of Cocoa Puffs because it's buy 1 get 4 free or whatever whack ass deal they have at Walmart.
It's a really good deal. I don't know what you should ask them. Hey, why are you buying 5?
Yeah.
I don't care. Like just again, like I just kind of want to do my own thing. Now, if like it's a small talk kind of thing too, like with so where are you going, bitch? You don't care where I'm going. You know where I'm fucking going. Like we're going to fucking Atlanta. Like you going anywhere after that? You don't care. Like. You are going to completely forget about me after. Like, this conversation is completely pointless. You don't care.
That's a great opportunity to make up a story. Just be
yeah. You ever try to do that, Respawn? You ever been someone else that you're not? You ever try to make up a story?
No. I don't make up a story like that, but I'll fuck with people for a little while, and then usually you'll be like, nah, I'm just messing with you.
Oh, yeah, it's a nice ISIS meeting and having.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I wouldn't mind. See, I've done this before. I've told little white lies, and then they've kind of built on each other, but then they end up going away, kind of thing. I don't even know what example might be, but it might just be I'm gonna go see my grandma or something. They're like, "Oh, where's your grandma live?" And you're like, "Fuck, shit." And then you got to make up something there, and they're like, "Oh, so what are y'all doing at your grandma's?" "Ah, shit, she died. Fuck, I don't know." And so it just builds on each other, but those little things get you in trouble a lot. But I want to go back to what Shadow was saying with the watching people. I don't want you to feel like I'm a fucking weirdo, okay? It's a vibe thing. No. Yeah, it's a vibe thing. Like if I sit beside you and you look friendly and you feel like if I ask you that first question, like, "Hey, what's up? Where are you going?" Blah blah, and you open up there, or you're short. If you're Shadow and you're like, I'm gonna go to sleep or something, then I'm not gonna keep bugging you. But it's a vibe thing. People that are approachable, you can kind of get the mannerisms from them. That's okay to do, but
are you a hand talker? Because I mean, obviously you've never done like a
I am. You can kind of hear me a little bit.
I picture you to,
Right now I have my hands out in front of me and I'm just kind of like juggling, like I don't know, a little
oranges.
Bit. Yeah, oranges. There you go. So I was just.
I saw that on that video that Hova put it, linked or whatever on YouTube. That magician one where you're juggling.
Oh yeah, that's me totally, 110%, legit. But no, that wasn't me. But yeah, I'm a hand talker for sure. Anyways, let's move on to the next topic. The next topic is marijuana. Okay, this is a topic that a lot of people are talking about right now, especially with the election that just ended, whether you were for Hillary or against Hillary or for Trump or against Trump. This was talked about a lot because it was on a lot of the ballots, and it was either medicinal, it was either kind of like what Respawn's going through right now. He's in Colorado. It is pretty much free play. I don't know exactly all the regulations in Colorado, but what are your ideas about marijuana as a whole, and what do you think we're headed in the future with marijuana?
Legalize it recreationally across the country.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I say this, like, I'm not a pothead. I'm not going to start smoking weed because it's legal. But, one, like, it doesn't make any sense. I actually read an article making an interesting case for just making all drugs legal. Just, like, kind of regulate it and, get help for people who are, addicted to meth or whatever instead of just throwing them in jail. But marijuana, for the obvious one, is it is not as harmful as cigarettes or alcohol. And cigarettes and alcohol are
killers.
Yeah, like they're legal. Like you can go to the gas station and buy cigarettes. like studies show that marijuana is just not that harmful. Like it's I can't remember exactly what it is, but like there's no links to cancer or anything like that. Like, yeah, sure, like it stones you for a little while, but it's not that bad. But the main thing is we've got so many people in jail for having weed, and
I think it makes up 60%. 60%.
All those people in jail, like, our tax money has to go to feeding them and
housing them,
to having them in that jail, and that's ridiculous. Like, you've got jail. This guy killed 5 people. Yeah, put his ass in jail, lock him up. Oh, this guy had a dime bag in his car. Oh, well, yeah, just put right next to the serial killer. Go put him right there. Doesn't make a damn bit of sense.
Yeah, not to mention the draw on the economy, because that's one person that's not out working, putting more money into, their community, or just buying stuff and, working a job, supporting their family. You're taking all that away too.
That's actually something I never even thought of. That
has down the line effects. You're talking about that, Respawn.
Sure.
Like, take a dad out of a home that's in jail.
Or a mom.
Or mom.
Women
I'm
smoke
just
weed too.
Come
on. Why are you assuming this drug user's gender? I'm getting triggered over here. I'm gonna need to take a dab over here to calm
down. But you take a dad or a mom or 2 dads or 2 moms. I don't care.
There you
go.
But
you take out of the household. You take someone out of the household, and that has effects on the kids, and that which will have effect on them later on down the road. But I agree with you, Shadow. I think when you tax it, also, you're going to make a lot of money as a state. You're going to do a lot of – that's going to create jobs more than it is going to take away. I think the price is going to go down a ton. The trafficking from other countries. Here in the United States, we have trafficking problems mainly from Mexico and close by countries. But I think you take that away from them, and it's something that's not a big problem anymore. And I think I read a stat. I could be totally wrong in here. I don't want to throw out numbers too much, but I heard that 60% of the people that are incarcerated right now have something to do with marijuana possession of some sort, whether that's selling, whether that's consuming, whatever that might be. 60% that's a lot of people, and I agree with you. A child molester and a serial killer should be in the same cell, not a person that has a dime bag and a serial killer or a child molester or whatever should be in the same cell together. That doesn't make any damn sense to me. Now, I will say this on the other side of the fence of this whole thing: if it's illegal, it's illegal. When the person that bought, sold, whatever, marijuana, they knew it was illegal. It's their fault for making a stupid decision. I will say that, because it is illegal at this point. But if you're in Colorado, like Respawn is, I don't know how the situation is there. Then I don't think there's been anything crazy happen there. No one's ever died from consuming marijuana, unless it's been laced with something other than just marijuana. So I don't know how it is. Maybe you could speak a little bit about it, Respawn, and what's the scene like there? Because in my state, it's not legal like it is recreational with you.
To be honest, like, nothing's changed. I mean, from just going out and like being out in public, whatever. Like, there's no difference. The people that have smoked weed or were smoking weed before are still smoking. They're just doing it in a safer way. They're not having to go find it on the street or whatever. They're able to go somewhere and the quality, and they're not, it's like you were saying, you might buy you might buy some that's laced or whatever, if you want to call it that, but it just might be shit, and I don't know, fuck yourself up, which probably won't really do, but it's not different. I mean, people are just chilling. They're doing whatever. The crime rates have gone down. I mean, you take all the street side of the business away, and I mean, you're gonna lower
stores and stuff, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like a liquor store, man. You go in and you buy what you want, and then you go home. Yeah. I mean, the only thing is you can't smoke in public. I mean, it's pretty similar to alcohol. You can't do that, but I mean, you're free to do it, in your house or whatever.
Are there shops though that you can go in to?
No, that was actually on the ballot this year, and
Uh-huh.
I didn't follow up because I don't smoke anymore, so it's not really anything to me. But
Pussy.
no.
Fake nation.
So one thing, I guess the one downside or the one issue that they ran into is you get a lot of people now coming to Colorado, or just people that would come to Colorado that smoke now, like, hey, I can smoke, but they can't smoke in their hotel, or you can't smoke in public. So it's like, where does this person that's traveling to Colorado go smoke legally? Right. So that was one thing that was on the ballot this year is for spaces where people can go in, kind of like a bar type deal.
Yeah,
exactly
so
like
I thought
a bar.
y'all kind of had there. I didn't know.
Yeah. So that's one thing they're working on, which I think is a good idea because, I mean, you want someone that is doing something legal to have a safe place to do it. They're not going to have to sneak around or like do it while they're driving or whatever just to get away with it or whatnot. So, but the economy, it's crazy, man. I mean, just the prices of homes and everything is just real estate. I mean, Denver's already been booming for years and years, but this is just another thing. The state's making so much money now. I think it's a good thing. I mean, why not? I mean, when they got rid of alcohol and marijuana, like right around the same time, they went through the prohibition period with bootlegging and liquor, to the point where they're like, all right, well, this is costing us way too much money to stop, and we're not making any money because we're not getting this tax. So let's just legalize, alcohol again. So they did that. And I think, marijuana just wasn't as big as alcohol, to the point where they're like, hey, we can make a quick buck. Now, the government doesn't, at the end of the day, I don't really think they give a shit, you know what I mean, about people smoking weed. It's how can we make money, whether it's through finding people and making them go through all this court shit, or now where they're like, hey, just make them dollars and make it safe for people.
I don't think marijuana should be as demonized as it is.
No,
like it's illegal. I mean, there's two reasons that I hear. The main reason is people just are assholes and they just want to get in each other's business.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just like all the bullshit excuses that they make up with, oh, marijuana, it's a gateway drug. Like, no, it's not. Just because you smoke marijuana does not make you more likely to do cocaine or anything like that. Like, if you're going to do cocaine, you're going to do cocaine whether you smoke marijuana or not. And like the other thing is like, oh, well, if you make marijuana legal, then everybody's going to start smoking it. And again, like, no, the reason that I don't smoke marijuana is not because it's illegal. It's because I don't want to do it. Like, it's just, and like you said, like, it's not like anything has changed. It's not like people are walking around with joints in their mouths now. Like, I mean,
like blowing smoke in your face, like, hey, I'm gonna make you high. Yeah. Like, no one does that.
But even so, like, even if that was the case, like, marijuana is not a killer. Like, so right. What if more people start smoking weed? As long as it's the same thing with alcohol. Like, as long as they're not driving, or if they're doing it responsibly, it's fine. And if alcohol is going to be legal, then make marijuana legal, get these people out of jail, put that money towards something useful, like, oh, I don't know, healthcare,
right?
And I
mean,
education. Yeah, like, it just.
Another thing is, like, alcohol, it like gets you fired up, it gets the macho in you going. Like, it causes fights, it makes you, like, want to kind of flex on people or drive crazy. Or dude, weed just chills you out. Like, you don't hear about someone that smokes a joint and then gets into a car and flies down the highway at 110 and like kills a family because they crash into them. Like, no, if anything, they're going to be driving 30 miles an hour under the speed limit, so paranoid that they're in their lane that everyone's going to be like, this guy's going too slow.
He's the best driver ever.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, like you're saying, it doesn't cause people to get violent like alcohol does. I mean, No one's pumping their chests after smoking. Like, yo, who wants some Hollywood coal? You know, taking their shirt off, like flexing. No, that doesn't happen. Never seen that ever.
I've said this on quite a few occasions over the past probably year or so, and not to turn to politics or anything like that, but I think that once this generation of assholes gets out of the government, I think that it's going to be a whole lot better, because it's just a whole bunch of people like Mitch McConnell who are just old as hell, and they're from a different time. Like, they're from a time where it was essentially not okay to be wrong. Like, it's like you learn one thing and then your pride just kind of forces you to stay with your original thing, and like sitting here and admitting that you're wrong is like worse than death. And it's just once all these guys, I'm not gonna say like, yo, once the millennial generation gets in there, like, I'm not necessarily saying that, but like once we get fresh faces in, I think, because I think Deluxe asked, like, oh, you know, where do you think the country's going with marijuana? I think, you know, once the new generation of government takes over, it's not going to be very long until recreational marijuana is legal in all 50 states.
Yeah, I mean, there's countries in Europe that have been doing this since the beginning, and they don't see any of the issues
we need to be Europe.
That we're scared of. But
like,
yeah, but no, I agree. I mean, we're seeing that now with just like the marijuana stuff, or, you know, all the equal rights that you know, certain types of people or groups of people, or, you know, whatever, are finally getting now. You know, it's taken this long, but it's almost like, you know, 10 years ago, you know, I don't think we would probably think we were crazy if we were having this conversation. Like, you know, these people are going to be able to smoke weed, or it's finally going to be legal for this person to marry this person, and be like, well, that would never happen. Not like I wouldn't want it to happen, just like there's no way. Like, people are just stupid. They won't ever, you know, go for that. And we're starting to see it now, and it's like, you know, gradually like kind of speeding up, which is good to see.
Yeah, that's another thing. Before I go any further, Deluxe, do you have anything to say? I feel like we're hogging the conversation.
No, I love that you guys talk. I had a couple questions once you're through about it. A couple for Respawn, and then I had a question as to what you guys think, and I'll go ahead and hit on that, and you can kind of introduce, if you had anything else to say, kind of add that to it. But what do you think we do with the prisoners that we have currently with that are incarcerated for marijuana, whether it's possession, whatever it might be? What do you think we do with them? I don't really know. I think we cut time in half, and we still let them serve their sentence because it was illegal at the time. But I don't. I'm just like you, Shadow. I don't want them in the prisons either. But I think you do the crime, you do the time. Now, I think a lot of these are outlandish, and some of them are going to be like, one kid might have 2 weeks, and the next person might have a life sentence. Yes, but I don't know. I think you cut everything in half, and then we go from there. But maybe I'm crazy. What do you guys think?
I think, for, you know, like, yes, it was illegal. They knew it was illegal, and they got caught. I think that there is something to be said for that. But at the same time, I think that we can all come together as just a society, I guess you could say, and like, for something like marijuana, which should not have been illegal in the first place, I think for this, you just let them go and essentially maybe not apologize for a stupid rule, but I mean, somebody's been in jail for 10 years. They have like a 30-year sentence for marijuana or whatever. I'm just throwing numbers out. Like, they have 20 years left. You think that they should stay in jail for 10 more years when they've already served 10? Like, they shouldn't just be able to walk free because of a bullshit law?
Well, in Colorado, they let, I mean, a lot of, you know, once it was decriminalized, and even before that, I mean, they were kind of just reducing or just cutting those people out. Like if it was a non-violent offense and it
I
was
like that. I like that.
under under a certain amount, wasn't like tied to like a bigger trafficking thing, and there's no kids or minors involved. Most of those people were starting to get cut even before it was decriminalized here. But once it was, I mean, pretty much a lot of those people that were in were just kind of let go. Which I agree with. I mean, if there's no kids involved, if it's non-violent, if it's just like you were saying earlier, a guy just getting picked up on a random traffic stop and he had a bag in his pocket or whatever, and they haul him in, and maybe it was like his second or third offense of it, so they give him some time. Dude, we have more problems in America to deal with than a dude just having something in possession that's for him to just chill out and enjoy life, how he likes to enjoy life by himself and just whatever.
Yeah.
I like it. Another couple of things I had for you, Respawn, because I feel like me included and some of the people watching or listening, would have questions about age is still 18, right, for marijuana?
No, 21. It's like
21.
Alcohol.
Okay, yeah. I did not know that. I figured it would be 18 because cigarettes and marijuana, I figured it'd be similar. So it is 21. I did not know that. And as far as price, like how outlandish is the price right now for marijuana? I don't know if you know a lot about it, but what's the price like?
Well, I mean, some friends of mine would probably know. If I know a friend, but no, I mean, it's definitely not like you're gonna go pick up like some cheap, just some shit weed or whatever, that you could always get your hands on if that was your thing. You know what I mean? You have like $20 to spend, whatever. I mean, it's definitely more on like the higher end, like the kind and the Kush, and I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of on that scale, to be honest. So a little bit pricier, I'd say, but there's a lot of shops have specials and things like that, I think so. And edibles is really big in our state now.
What do they have edible wise? What are we talking?
Any confection, any brownie, cookie,
gummy bear,
whatever, anything. And that, kind of going back how you were asking if we've seen like bad things happen there. I think the edible stuff is really the only thing that people really get fucked up on, especially if they're not used to it, because it's totally different. It's not like you smoke a little bit and then it like sets in and you feel it. I mean, if you eat a bunch, then it just, it hits you and you're like, fuck. But we've had a couple of cases where people will come from out of state and they'll, buy a couple brownies, and they, maybe you should only eat like a little bit of one and see how you're doing. They like eat one or two and then they just kind of start wigging out and have to go to the hospital or whatever. But yeah, it's not like they're going to die or anything. They're just probably very unpleasant. Yeah, very unpleasant probably for a few hours, tripping their balls off. But yeah.
I've heard stories like that. I've heard comedians talk about it. Like someone comes in, eats a couple brownies or whatever it might be, and they just start tripping straight balls. And it's kind of like that. Like they feel like they're going to die. Their heart rate goes up and they just start freaking out because they're already high as hell anyways. It's like a more potent dosage of it kind of thing. Higher dosage than you would if you just gradually took it in by smoking it. So that's really funny to me. Overall, but hey, thanks a lot though, Respawn, for kind of filling me in on all that stuff. I had no clue on all that stuff. A lot of that stuff, I think a lot of people have misconceptions. Even some of the people listening today, just like I did, a lot of misconceptions about it and how it's really affecting us in the United States. I don't know if you're not listening from the United States, this might be interesting to you as well. And do you guys have any closing things y'all want to talk about or anything?
Vote Kanye 2020.
No, please don't. Please don't. All right, he's in a mental hospital for a reason.
Are you gonna run? I'm
not.
For president?
No, I'm not. I don't think I get enough votes, man. I can barely get people to like a video of mine, so I don't think they're gonna go out and vote for me. That's number one. And I'm not old enough either, so good luck with that, Kanye. A lot of people just look over that like it's nothing. Like, hello?
Gotta be 35.
Gotta be 30. So, I don't think he's 35, is he?
Oh, Kanye?
Yeah.
Nah, I just said you gotta be 35. Well,
He might be.
He is 39 years old.
Is he 39?
Oh, Kanye,
Born-
2020.
Okay.
Yeah, born in 77.
Okay. Well, look at him. Look at him. I feel like he's been saying that for 5 years, but I guess it's only been like 2. But anyways, I want to give a big shout out to Respawn and shout out for joining me. All their links will be down in the description. If you like this kind of stuff, please let us know down in the comments. If you listen to everything, please let us know anything that you have to say or any topics that you want us to talk about next time. I don't know if these 2 guys will be back, but I will say this. It was very pleasant having them. Shadow and I, we talk about this kind of stuff all the time, so I kind of wanted to bring that to light and kind of show you guys kind of how we speak. This is a different kind of setting, but for the most part, it's kind of like how Shadow and I talk. Respawn's a very knowledgeable guy, and if you haven't checked him out on Twitch, he is live almost daily, pretty close to it. He has 4 days or 5 days that he's live as well. I'll, like I said, link their Twitters down below if you want to hit them up and say something to them. But for the most part, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it for the first CrewCast. We will have other crew members on here from time to time. We might have an all-crew member podcast, but I don't want it just to be only crew members. From time to time, we'll have special guests like Respawn was today. So thanks for taking time out again. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the subjects today. We talked a little bit about college, talked a little bit about high school, talked a little bit about marijuana, and briefly talked about smaller subjects in between. But for the most part, I thought it was pretty good. I really enjoyed hearing you guys talk and not just hear myself ramble all the time. But thanks again, guys. Go ahead.
We learned that Deluxe 4 has read a book, at least one book.
Okay. Anyways, by the way, the book was The Outsiders, maybe? Okay, I don't even know.
Boo.
But anyways, all right.
I had fun. Thank you. Thank you guys.
No, it's good. Thanks again. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.